moving platform up above. You had this giant kind of harpy vulture in the center that was guarding the box. And she had these eggs scattered all around the level. And in order to sort of entice her to fly around, you'd have to go find her eggs and break the eggs. And you'd kind of take the little baby birds inside and you'd kind of carry them around and use them as bait. And again, not only was it kind of a cool mechanic because you were slower as you carried these things around, but also I think it really helped with the character of Kratos. I mean, here he is, cracking open eggs and ripping out little infant birds and using them for his own desires and really pissing off this mama bird. I thought was pretty cool. So the Medusa boss in this game is awesome. She's a blast to play. She looks great. But for me, the big fat green Medusa, that's not Medusa. Medusa is sleek and she's kind of weird because she's sort of sexy and you feel kind of creepy about it, but she's kind of sexy, and so Cory's the director of this game, and Cory brings his own fantasies to this game, and that's okay, whatever.
Athena is the kind of conflicted character in the game. She always wanted to help out Kratos. She had a little bit of empathy for him, and I want to infuse a little bit of that kind of like more than empathy for Kratos.
The sexual tension between Kratos and Athena is bizarre, because it wasn't intended, and we finished the first game, and it's like, are they doing it, those two?
Do not turn your back on me.
I owe you nothing.
Then you leave me no choice.
Her loyalty is to the gods, so she wants to keep the peace. And she always kind of walks that fine line, and she's conflicted about whether or not she's going to cross that line for Kratos.
You conspire against me!
You don't know where she's coming from. You don't know if she's on the side of Zeus or if she's on the side of Kratos. You don't know if she has a thing for Kratos. So I'm very eager to see where her character sort of goes as we finish the story of Kratos, because I think there's definitely more to Athena than we've seen so far. We just explored all kinds of avenues in order to sort of figure out what our vision of the Greek myths were. And so I think we've landed at a place that feels heroic and exciting, but also a little disturbing and a little adult and a little sexy, and I think that's pretty cool. The main goal for the character in the game was always to create someone that looked really brutal and really nasty and really violent. Instead of sort of going down the traditional route of a iconic Greek hero with the plume helmet and the skirt and the toga and the sandals, we wanted someone who really made the player feel like he was being able to unleash his dark side. So the idea was always, how can we make him look more brutal? How can we make him look more violent and impulsive and nasty? And that desire always superseded sort of historical accuracy. So while you look at this guy and he may not totally feel at home in ancient Greece from a costume standpoint, I think he achieves the greater purpose, which is to give players a character that they can play who really does let them just go nuts and unleash the nasty fantasies they have in their head.
The mood of the game is dark. The main character Kratos is a very disturbed character.
The things I said to him, I said brutal, nasty, violent, antisocial, pissed off, angry, fuck you. That was my direction to Charlie.
The hardest part about making Kratos was that the storyline wasn't really there yet. And so I was trying to create a character that didn't have that story behind him yet.
I just said, come into work and get angry and see what happens.
Now, what are some of the things that excite you about the sequel?
The new thing we're doing with the Cyclops. I love the idea that we're actually ripping the eye of the Cyclops out and then collecting and using it. So as the last game, you had the Medusa heads or the Gorgon eyes. Everybody's life is supposed to be mapped out. He's going to be the one person to basically not be mapped out by somebody. He's not going to let anybody, a god, a titan, or even the Sisters of Fate, control his destiny.
It's kind of like the video game version of the fuck you teenage rebel song. It's like, I'm going to do my own shit.
The original vision, I think, what we wanted was very, very brutal.
It's funny because we were like, let's go find some fight scenes in movies, and that's how we want this guy to move, and that's how nasty we want him to be. And it's weird because when we thought we'd find all these great movies, movie fights are really kind of tame when you think about it. And we actually ended up with only 2 or 3 movies that really obscure films too, that really, when you saw it, you were like, oh my God, that is just some nasty stuff.
The Medusa head animation, ripping the head off the Medusa, very long development cycle for that one. It was redone several times.
We obsessed over it. I pissed off everybody. The animations aren't brutal enough. The art's not brutal enough. There's not enough blood. I want this game to make players just go nuts and feel that sense of anger and chaos. Making the game was definitely a fight. Me and the team butted heads a lot. And there was this anger, I guess, that built up inside of me that I think I really transferred over to Kratos. And I look at Kratos now and it's like, that's me.
I think we verbally abuse each other multiple times during the day. It's one of those, it's a great high-low thing. We start out the day, we're really happy, and then throughout the day we get very upset with each other, and then happy with each other, and then upset, and hopefully we can leave and we're happy with each other, and then we come back and we're happy with each other again. First started here, Kratos had the chain blades. The main thing, like the theory behind all of it, was to maintain the fluidity of the change and the fact that there was weight at the end of them, but not cripple the player because of it. Not like you'd have to sit there and wind up and go all over the place. It was actually just like a performance or something, which sounds, you know, but it's not.
At the end of the day, if somebody fucks with me, I come to this at home, I just sit down, I beat the shit out of people, and they're like screaming blood everywhere, and I feel good.
That's fantastic. This guy is, you know, the epitome of the God of War fan. He's the type of guy that we totally appreciate as developers because he's so freaking into the game. He's also the type of guy we're probably scared to meet, you know, in the real world, like in a dark alley or something like that, because he's fucking out there as his love of violence.
I really wanted to see that thing topple onto an enemy's head and like smash him and have him like writhing in pain underneath the rock.
He may be taking it to the extreme, but I think everybody has maybe a piece of what he talks about, which is, I've had a bad day, and I want to go home, and I want to vent my helplessness at a situation at work out on something, and I don't want to do it in the real world. I play this game, and I tear this guy apart, and I feel powerful. Thank you very much, guys. This is awesome. This is really going to help us. We're, I think, 6 or 7 months to alpha, so I've already had to start hacking away at my baby. We had a couple meetings. We were in character meetings and we were in effects meetings, and everyone was kind of getting really tense and really stressed out. This is a lot of stuff. This is more than we thought. You know, the realization that you've got some pretty hard roads ahead of you kind of hits everybody, I think, pretty hard. I had a meeting with the producer afterwards, and he was kind of like, you know, maybe you should think about cutting Atlantis. And I think he was partially joking, but he was also a little bit serious on, you know, hey, you may have to start making some cuts. And I was like, look, I'm not ready to make any cuts. I had that cheesy, like, what is that, Project Greenlight the first year when he was like, over my dead body, we won't get that.
This is a guy who has his whole life really been kind of a pawn of the gods and really kind of screwed over by them. And I think now what they didn't realize they did was put him in the exact position that he needed to be to really kind of create all kinds of havoc.
Now that he is a god, he's a little bit more angry than he was in the first game, ironically. He absolutely has given up on everybody, and he just wants everybody dead. He's a bastard.